And let's go ahead and get started. If you do have any questions and you're using would you say it was, Marty, the web version or the desktop version?
Desktop.
You, thank you. You should have a Q&A icon at the top of your screen. So if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to put them in the Q&A. And we will have, at the end of the presentation, we will actually have Q&A. Feel free to ask any questions that you like. My name is Gina Thomas. I'm the training manager at C&K Systems and your hostess for Training Bytes, a digestible approach to counterpoint training. Joining me on the call is Marty Katz. You just heard him talking a few minutes ago. He's a project lead here at C&K and also available for any questions you may have. So you want to put some items on sale and you tell your sales associates, these books are on sale or these coffee mugs are on sale. But then they have to remember that those items are on sale. So what if they forget? They forget that something is on sale. They're going to have to re-ring the sale, do the price override. And of course, when you're using price overrides, it's a lot of clicking. Click on the price override, change the price, click again, give a reason code in some cases. So a lot of clicking. Now there are discount codes as well, but discount codes are not item specific. They will apply to one or more items on the ticket. So that's why we're going to talk about price rules today. In particular, I'm going to talk about promotional pricing. These are price rules for random unrelated items. Contract pricing, pricing for related items, and also mix and match codes for your BOGOs, buy one, get one free, buy one, get one half off, whatever the case may be. Just some basic rules about price rules. They work automatically, which is the nice thing about price rules. No one has to think about it. No one has to remember. They work automatically based on the ticket, what's on the ticket, customer items, and the rule criteria. When Counterpoint is looking at price rules, it reads them in a certain order. Counterpoint will read contract price rules first, followed by promotional, followed by special. When Counterpoint finds a price rule that matches the criteria on a ticket, it stops looking. So for that reason, you cannot stack your price rules. I get that question a lot. I want 25% off and then an additional 10%. The price rules will not accomplish that. Price rules also do not prevent your associates from performing price overrides. So for example, an item on a ticket qualifies for a price rule. It's discounted automatically. Counterpoint will not stop your associate from doing a manual price override on that item. Price rules do not change the price one field on the item master. So if on your item master, your price one is $50, you have a price rule for that item, the price one is still $50. The discounting happens on the ticket itself. Price rules will print a discount message on the receipt if you have it enabled in point of sale stores, and I'll show you that later. If you use Galaxy, and you know who you are, price rules do not flow to Galaxy. So to get that message on the receipts, whether you're doing a price override or using price rules, if you go to Setup Point of Sale Stores, click on the Receipts tab. At the lower left, you'll have a detail type and a total discount type. So the detail type is to show a line discount. Oh, this item you saved 25%. And then the total discount type is a message at the bottom of the receipt that says something along the lines of, oh, your total savings are. So we're going to talk about promotional pricing first. Promotional pricing is great for random, unrelated items that have different percentages or dollar discount amounts. For example, I sell 50 different titles of books, but only one or two of them are going on sale, and one of them is going to be discounted 50%, and one of them is going to be discounted 25%. So that's a good candidate for promotional pricing. To do a promotional price, you first start with a worksheet, and the worksheet is called Planned Promotions. And you'll notice when we're in the worksheet, only price one is utilized. Well, regular prices too, but price one. So if you use price levels like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you will not see those on the worksheet. If you want the price rule to apply to certain customer segments, promotional pricing is kind of cumbersome for that. When a planned promotion worksheet is implemented, Counterpoint calls it created, it then becomes a promotional price. And we'll see that, in action in the software in a few minutes. So if you go to inventory prices, your worksheet planned promotions, you can go to the bottom left of the screen to select your items that qualify for the promotional pricing. You can bulk select items too, but it's not very practical if your items are going to have different discount rates. So you may end up selecting them one at a time. Once you're done with the worksheet, you'll click on the button Create Promo. Then the promotional pricing moves off the worksheet and into promotional pricing, and the worksheet disappears. And again, we'll see that live and in person. Contract pricing. Now, if you ever look in the pricing module, you see that there's promotional, contract, special. Because Counterpoint reads contracts first, I'm a really big fan of setting up price rules in contract pricing, as long as the items have something in common. Maybe it's a customer segment, maybe it's a category, subcategory, or vendor. And it's also the best place to set up BOGOs, buy one, get one, or discounting groups of items. So if you go to inventory prices, contract pricing, on the main tab, you can specify beginning and end dates. At the bottom half of that screen, you can specify customer segments if you only want the price rule to apply to certain customers. Then on the Rules tab, if you look to the lower right, there's a Prices tab, an Items tab, a Sales tab. So the Prices tab is where you set up, is it going to be a discount percent, a discount amount, maybe a markup, what the basis is, price 1 through 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the percentage of the discount. And then the Items and the Sales tabs can be leveraged to restrict what items are getting a discount. So you could actually say, this price rule, 25% off, only applies to golf, or it applies to everything except golf. Then there's something called group order. And I know this is going to sound counterintuitive, but if you have multiple price rules, you'll see a list under this button called group order, and we want the least used rule at the top of the group. So here's a good example. I'm ringing up a sale, and the sale is for a senior citizen. And so Counterpoint sees the first rule is employee, checks the ticket, checks the rule, and says, oh, that doesn't apply. Let me look at the next rule. And then it finds that the next rule, the senior rule, does apply. And so then Counterpoint stops looking, so it doesn't look down to BOGO, topsoil, cans, or club deal. It just stops at that senior. So the least used rules should be at the top of the group order. And again, we'll take a look at that. Mix and match codes. These are great for your BOGOs. Mix and match codes are attached to the price group itself and then the qualifying items. When you assign a mix match code to an item, you can do it manually right on the item record. But if you have hundreds and hundreds of them, you don't want to do that. They're too time consuming. So there's a utility to assign or bulk assign mix match codes to items. There is no mechanism in Counterpoint to automatically discount the less expensive item. So scanning order matters. So if you have a buy one, get one free, you want to make sure your salespeople are scanning the more expensive item first. In order to use BOGO pricing, there is a control that needs to be enabled. It's under Setup, Point of Sale, Stores. On the Tickets tab at the lower left, there's a statement called, or it says, Use Item Total Quantity for Pricing. This needs to be enabled for your BOGOs to work. When it comes to mix and match, earlier I said it's attached to the price group itself. So you can see at the upper left, I've got a mix and match code called Club Deal. Down to the lower right, I have two switches enabled. Use BOGO2 for pricing, require full group to qualify, but I won't need the item filter in this example because the mix and match code is going to act as my filter. Also about those switches, use BOGO2 for require full group to qualify. What's nice about this is in this example, if I sell one, it's going to sell at full price, price one, but the second one is going to be a fixed price of 0. So when I ring up the third one, it's going to be full price, and the fourth one will be free in this example. So that's what those switches are about, especially that require full group to qualify. When it comes to assigning the mix and match codes to items, again, you can visit the item master and assign them individually or in table view, copy paste. But again, if there's hundreds and hundreds, you don't want to do that. So if you go to inventory utilities, there's a utility called assign mix match codes, and you can go ahead and bulk assign mix match codes to the items. Then you want to test your price rules. You can test your price rules in point of sale, that's fine. Or maybe all your point of sale machines are in use and you can't access one. So there's this really nice utility called the price test. So under inventory utilities, you can actually test your price rules, and you can also test your loyalty program rules in here as well, just so you know. Um, when it comes to BOGO, it's more practical to test your BOGOs in point of sale. The price test utility isn't flexible enough for that. But for everything else, use the price test utility. This is especially useful if you have a price rule that doesn't go into effect until a future date. So through the price test, you can say, test this price rule as of a certain date, even a certain time. So with that being said, let's get into the software and take a look. So I'm going to start with the controls. The control to allow BOGO and the control for your receipts to print discounts. So setup on your Launchpad, point of sale on your Launchpad, stores. Then you're going to come to the tickets 1 tab, and you're going to come down here and enable this switch. For the discounts on receipts, you're going to come to the receipt tab, and you're going to choose a detail type if you like, if you want to see the discount at the line level, and then a total discount type. These two statements need to be in agreement. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say I choose this, or let's try another one. Let's try that and that. Oh, there we go. If the statements aren't in agreement with each other, you will get this message. So you need to choose things that are going to agree with each other. I like for the detail type, the price one and then the dollar discount amount. And then for the total discount type, I like the total price one and the dollar discount. Now see how that message disappeared? Because these two statements agree with each other. So I'm just going to save my changes. And then it tells me I probably need to restart Counterpoint for this to take effect. Okay, let's start with promotional prices. So random items. I have 50 book titles, but only 1 or 2 are on sale. Or I have hundreds of keychains, but only 1 or 2 styles are on sale. So those are good candidates for promotional pricing. So under inventory on the Launchpad, prices on the Launchpad, I'm going to start with my worksheet, planned promotions. And I'm just going to give this some type of group code name, so you can just make up a name. You are limited to 10 characters here. I'm just going to call mine sale. And I'm going to give it a description after I press the enter key, so spring sale. And then here, it's looking for a beginning and end date. Now, you can actually change this later. Maybe you want it to be forever. And here you don't have the forever option, so you have to put something here. So I'm just going to say from today to the end of the year, but again, I can change it. Also, is this going to apply to all stores or just one store? So if you have more than one store and you want the sale to apply to all stores, you just click on this button. Down here on the lower left, you can come here and add items by selecting them one at a time. So I'm just going to come in here and let's go ahead and take a keychain. So there we go. Now, when I select that one item, if I come over here to this gray area that says promo price and just click in that field, then it's not gray anymore. And I can actually define what the new price is going to be. And Counterpoint will calculate the discount percentage from price one or from the regular price. Or if I come down to the discount field and put in a percentage, then Counterpoint will calculate the price. And then you can either tab, enter, 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 or you can click on Save Line. If you want to bulk add, you can come here to add items, but there's kind of a gotcha with this. So if I'm going to bulk add items, notice down here at the bottom, all the items I'm bulk adding have to share the same discount percentage. So sometimes it's not practical to bulk add. Once I'm done with my worksheet, I can save. And again, it's just a worksheet. So I may not want to implement this right now. Maybe I want to come back and add some more items later. That's perfectly fine. You can exit from here. Maybe a couple hours later, you want to add more items. Go back to plan promotions. Find your worksheet. You can use these arrows. You can use the lookup. And then you can continue to add items. When you're ready to implement the price sheet and have the prices take effect, you're going to come up here to the upper right and you're going to click on Create Promo. So I'm going to click on Create Promo, and Counterpoint is going to give me a report. You may want to save the report electronically or print a hard copy, whatever you like, just to remind you what you put on sale. I'm going to exit from the report, and then Counterpoint's going to give me a warning. It's going to say, well, once I create this promotional price, this worksheet's going to disappear, and you're not going to be able to add more items to the worksheet. Is that okay? And you're going to say yes. Now, if worse comes to worse and you forget to add items to the worksheet and you find out later, there is a way to add them to the promotional pricing. It's just a lot of work and a lot of clicking. So I'm going to say yes. I get a warning, my sale is good from May 5th till the end of the year, May 3rd to the end of the year. But notice how I don't have any black arrows here in plan promotions anymore. So the worksheet's gone and the prices have moved to promotional prices. So if I come in here and I go into my lookup or I use my arrow, you can see here is the sale price. Now remember I said, when I was creating the worksheet, I couldn't have like a forever sale. There was no switch on the worksheet for no beginning and no end. So once the promotional price is created, you can change those dates. Then when I go to rules, I can see where Counterpoint created this rule for me, where it's a fixed price of $22.50. And if I go to the items tab, this is the qualifying item. So in that example, I forgot to add an item to the worksheet. Can I do it at this point? Yes, but it's a little bit of work. So if I click on a blank line, give it a rule description, I'm going to type in my item number and how much the item is going to sell for, just to remind myself. I'm going to come here to prices. Right here on the prices tab, I'm going to have a method which is going to be fixed price. So there is no basis. It's a fixed price of $15. And then I'll need to come to the items tab and select the item. And then if I have customers that qualify for this particular item sale, this is where I would choose a grouping of customers or a single customer. Like I said, it's a little clunky to segment your customers out in promotional pricing, but it can be done. Now, when I'm finished, I'm going to save. And now I want to test my price rule. So I'm going to close out of here. And to test the price rules, I'm going to start at the beginning here. Inventory on the launchpad, utilities on the launchpad, price test. I'm just going to select my item. There it is. And then down here at the bottom, I'm going to click on Get Price. And so you can see up here, Counterpoint is telling me, well, that item qualifies for this price rule. And if you look over to the left, you can see the item rang up at was $30 or is $30 on the item master. But if I go to the top, at point of sale, it's going to ring up for $22.50. So the price test utility, nice way to test your prices. And if you have a loyalty program, you can test your loyalty points as well. So that's promotional prices. Let's talk about contract prices next. So under inventory prices, I'm going to come to contract pricing. And again, I like these for items that have something in common or customers that maybe have something in common, like a category. So I'm going to start off simple. Everyone likes to give their associates an employee discount. So we're going to do an employee discount price code. So I'm just going to call the group code employee. Again, you're limited to 10 characters here, so you might need to abbreviate. When I press my enter key, I can put in a description. You can have up to 30 characters on your description. So I'm just going to say employee pricing. So if you had to abbreviate on the group code, you can spell it out on the description. Here on dates, I could specify a static beginning and ending date, but I want this to be forever. At the bottom half, see how it says customers here? This is where I can say, well, this price rule only applies to certain customers. I like leveraging the customer category on the customer record, but you can leverage any field you like on the customer record. Just modify this filter. But category makes the most sense, and I'll show you what I mean by that. I'm going to go into a customer lookup. I'm going to click on edit here. I'm talking about this field down here. So if you're the type of business that tracks customers, you might want to segment your customers. Like I have a category for my seniors, a category for my employees, wholesale, retail. Now in this example, I'm going to choose the category employee because this is an employee discount. And I have this employee category attached to customer records for my employees. Now I'm going to go to rules and I have to give a rule description. So something like, 50% off everything, because I'm a very generous employer. Over here on the prices tab, the method, you can see there's a lot of different methods, but the most common one that I see used is a discount percent. And then the basis. Well, what's that discount based on? Now, typically it's based on price 1. But if you use price levels, then you can base it off price 2, 3. If you have advanced pricing, 4, 5, and 6. And then it's 50% off. So there's the amount percent. If I leave the items tab blank, it means this price rule applies to everything in inventory for customers that belong to the employee category. If I leave the sales tab blank, this price rule is good at any store, it's good any day of the week, any time of day. And that's how I want it to be for my employees. So I'm just going to save this. And now I'm going to test it. So I'm going to come to my utilities, price test. I'm going to select an employee. So here's one here, Kenneth. I'm going to select any item from inventory. Let's do our custom golf tees. And I'm going to click on Get Price. So you can see the employee price rule, 50% off everything, is what is affecting this item. And again, if I look on the left, Currently, this item is priced at $22, but after the price rule goes into effect, it's $11. So now just to make sure this only is working for employees, I'm going to test this price rule on a customer that is not an employee. So I'm going to go into this lookup. I'm going to find this business customer. I'm going to click on Get Price, and you can see that this customer does not qualify for the employee price rule of 50% off everything. Now we'll get a little more complicated. So I'm going to go back to my price rules, back to contract pricing. And I'm going to make a price rule for my senior citizens. And I'm going to call it senior. And I give it a description. You can have, maybe one for a military, students. I'm going to have it be a forever type of sale. My category is going to be seniors. And now I'm going to come to rules. And this is going to be 25% off golf items on Tuesday. Okay, that's how granular you can get with price rules. So in the prices tab, I'm going to say, well, the method is going to be a discount percent. It's going to be based off price one, and it's going to be 25%. Now remember, I want to restrict this. I only want it to apply to golf items. So I have to come to this filter and tell Counterpoint it's only for golf. Now, what if you have the opposite? It's everything except golf. You can modify the filter. So if anyone knows how to modify filters, it's right click, customize, and I might come to this item category and say, is not exactly. I'm going to simplify the filter by right clicking. So here I could say, it applies to everything except golf. But I'm going to just change that back. So item category, I'm just going to say it is exactly. So now this price rule only applies to customers that are the senior citizen category, and it only applies to golf items. Now I'm going to come here to the sales tab, and I'm going to say, you know what? Tuesdays are really slow for me. I need to drive my business on Tuesdays. So this price rule is only good on Tuesdays. And you know what? I get really slow after 5 o'clock. So I'm going to say it's in effect from 5 p.m. until I close at 9 p.m. So now this price rule is only going to apply to customers that are senior citizens. It's going to give them 25% off golf on Tuesdays between 5 and 9. So now I'm going to save. Now I'm going to go into my price utility, but today's Wednesday. And so here's another cool thing about the price utility. So if I go to utilities, price test, I'm going to select a senior citizen. So here's one here. I'm going to select a golf item. So here's one here. Now this is as of 5/3, which is a Wednesday. So if I click on Get Price, there's no price rule that's active on Wednesdays for this customer or that item. So I can use this drop down, and I can either go to yesterday, Tuesday the 2nd, or the 9th, any Tuesday, as long as it's a Tuesday. And see, this says beginning of day. So if I go to Get Price, again, there's no price rule that's applying. But now I'm going to change this. And I'm going to change it to, let's say, 6 p.m. And now I'm going to get price. And now you can see the price rule is active for this item for this customer. I'm going to go back to contract prices. I'm going to talk about group order next. I mentioned that the least used price rule should be at the top of the group order. So I'm going to go to inventory, prices, contracts. So the button I'm talking about is this one here, set group order. So you can see employee is at the top. If you wanted to change the position, you could move it down or move it up. So least used rule at the top. Look at it this way. If you have an employee price rule, think about, the grand scheme of the population that comes into your store to make purchases. The least amount of purchases are going to be your in-store associates. So that's why it goes to the top. It's the least used rule. When I'm troubleshooting price rules, somebody calls me and says, oh, my price rule isn't working. There's a couple things I check. One, I make sure it's enabled. If it's not enabled, it's not going to work. And then I check the group order. Let me save this first. And then I check the group order. So I might have to move that rule that isn't working a little bit higher up in the list. I know there's some of you that have like a gazillion price rules. So the group order matters. So next I'm going to talk about BOGO and mix and match codes. So in my example, I have 50 book titles and I'm going to have buy one book, get the second book free. And it can be any book, any qualifying book. First one's full price, second one is free. This also might be handy if you have a spirit store, mix and match wine, 6 bottles for $29.99. And then you have qualifying wines that qualify for that $29.99. So let's make a new rule. Now mine is going to be for books. So I'm going to come down to this description. And it's going to be a book sale. And then I need a mix and match code. So right here on this line, I need a mix and match code that's going to attach to this price group and to qualifying items. So I go into my lookup. Uh-oh, there's nothing here. So let me add. I'm going to call this books just to be consistent. Give it a description of books and save. Beginning and end date, it's going to be forever. I'm not going to filter for any customers because this sale, buy one, get one free, applies to anybody. So I'm going to leave customers blank and go to rules. I'm going to give it a rule description, BOGO books. And then over here under prices. Well, if you buy one, it's going to be a price, and that price is going to be price one. Whatever it is on the item master, your first one is going to be full price. But if you buy two or a second one, then the second one is going to be a fixed price. So there's no basis. It's all grayed out. And the fixed price is 0. Then I'm going to enable my BOGO 2 for pricing and require full group to qualify. But I don't need to come to this items tab and filter for anything because this mix match code is kind of going to act like a filter. So you can leave the items filter blank. I'm going to save. So now I have to tell Counterpoint about the qualifying items. What qualifies for this BOGO price rule? So I'm going to close out of here. A couple ways to do it. If I go to inventory items and I find a book, so here's one of my books. I can come here to this field, mix and match code. That's what this field is for. And I can say, this book is a qualifying item. Now that's fun if you only have a handful of them. If you have more than a handful, it might be a little bit easier to go to the table view, filter for your books, and then you would add a mix match code column with your column designer. And then you can come in here and you could bulk copy paste. For anyone that does a bulk copy paste in Counterpoint, it's kind of backwards. You start with what you want to change and end with what you want to change it to. Again, a little counterintuitive. But to bulk copy paste, I'm going to hold down my Shift key on this blank field because I want to change it. Shift, I'm going to up arrow, see how all my lines are turning yellow. And I'm going to end with what I want to change it to. And then I'm going to right click on the column, copy values. Counterpoint gives me a warning. And there you go. But I'm going to show you how to use the utility. So I'm going to bulk copy paste to all these to be blank. So again, I'm going to start with what I want to change. I want to change this mix and match code. I want them all to be blank. Shift up arrow, end with what you want to change it to, which is blank. Right click, copy values. And then they should all be blank, and they are. If you have hundreds and hundreds of items, These methods are not practical. So that's where the mix match code utility comes in. So I'm here in inventory, utilities, assign mix and match codes. So on the top half is a filter. So I'm going to filter for my books. And then down here below on the lower half of the page, I'm going to click on the radio button assign. And the mix match code I want to assign is the code called books. And then maybe I want to preview it before I actually update, just to see what's on the report, make sure I have everything. Or, if there's something I want to exclude, I'll see it on the report. Then once I'm happy, I'll update items. Counterpoint gives me the report again. I'm going to exit. Counterpoint gives me, are you sure? Yes, I am. And 6 items have been updated. And now when I go and look at my items, and I'm going to filter for books, just to show you that it worked. So now all these books have a mix and match code of books. You can also use that utility to remove mix and match codes. I don't know if you noticed when I was in there. But let's say the sale is over and you want to disassociate any items with a mix match code. If you come back to the utilities and assign mix match codes, you can come down here and remove. So then you would do books and then of course update items. When it comes to testing BOGO, you can use the price test utility, but you have to do a quantity of 2 on a single item. So that's not incredibly practical. I'll show you what I mean by that. So if I come to the price test, and I'm just going to select one of my books, and I'm going to get price. Now there's only one here, so it's full price. You can see here it's $1. I can change the quantity to 2 and check it out. So you can see one's going to be $1, one's going to be 0, but I can't have 2 different items. So, that's the whole point of the mix and match, is it doesn't have to be the same item. It can be 2 different items. So it's more practical to test this at point of sale. So I'm going to exit from here, and I'm going to log into point of sale. Okay, I'm going to go into a lookup. Let me choose a different book. Let's do The Very Hungry Caterpillar. So you can see it's 1, it's full price. Now I'm going to choose a second book. How about Goodnight Moon? Click OK. And you can see Goodnight Moon is now 0. Now, if my customer wants to buy a third book, remember we had that switch require full group to qualify. So they want the green eggs and ham. That's full price of $25. So now if there's a fourth book, the fourth book will be free. Again, remember, scanning order matters. So in this case, I'm giving away the $100 book for free because it was scanned fourth or second.
Hey, Gina,
Yes.
just so you know, we do have a customization available that resorts the scan order so that it is the least expensive one is free. So in this case, the $10 and the $20 one would be free, and the $100 and the $25 one would be paid for. And contact your account representative for that information.
And I noticed you use that word customization.
It is a customization, which is why it's not, so I should say, it's not free.
Yes,
It's a
exactly my
customization.
point.
It's not free, but if it's important to you, if you sell a lot of $100 books and $20 books and $10 books and you want to do a BOGO, it may be worth your while over the long term.
I would agree with that. Because how many mistakes can be made with this? Scanning the most expensive item second. So yeah, thank you very much for that information, Marty. Okay, that being said, let's go back to the PowerPoint presentation. Down here somewhere. Here we are. And I'll go from the current slide. Okay, so your key takeaways. use planned promotions, promotional pricing for random items at random discounts. That's the most practical one to use. If you have things that items that have something in common or customers that have something in common, then use contract pricing. And of course, your mix match codes for your BOGOs. And then, of course, how to test your price rules outside of point of sale. So I always love your feedback. When you get the link to the video Friday, there will be a survey. How do we do? Do you have any suggestions for topics in the future? If you're very excited about today and you want to do the survey right now, you can go to our website, www.cksystem.com/training Bytes survey. Or again, you can wait until Friday when you get the link. And these surveys, you can remain anonymous if you like. But if you want a response, you should put your name on it. I can't respond to anonymous. If you want custom training tailored to your business, your data, give me a call, toll-free number, the main number, the same one you call for support, except it's extension 3. Or you can email me, training@cksystem.com. Next month, June the 7th, I'm going to talk about purchasing tips and tricks for those of you that use purchase orders. I'm often surprised at how many people don't know about the really cool purchasing tools built into Counterpoint. No customizations. These are built in. Through a purchasing document, you can actually have Counterpoint tell you what you should buy based on your sales. So very, very handy. Then there's also another tool called Purchasing Advice. This report will tell you not only what you should buy based on your sales, but it will build your purchasing documents for you. And then if you have more than one store, did you know you could order for all stores on one document? So be sure you sign up. Join me on June the 7th, 10 and 1 Eastern Time. I'll show you all the purchasing tips and tricks. Make your life a little bit easier and save you some time. Okay, and with that being said, let's check the Q&A. Okay, I don't see anything in the Q&A. Does anyone have a question? Now, of course, if you want to attend the 1 o'clock session, you're more than welcome to. Maybe you'll think of a question in between now and 1, so go ahead and join us again. Okay, and it looks like, Jane, you raised your hand. Do you have a question? I don't see a question, Jane. It says you put a question there. And people, I don't see your question. If you want to unmute yourself and ask me, Jane, go right ahead. Maybe you're just testing the little raise hand just to see what it would do, right?
No. Did you get it? I put it in the Q&A, then I just added it to the chat.
Let me check. See if my Q&A is working. If you use the plan promotion worksheet, does it only create promotional price? Yes, great question. Absolutely. If you use the notepad that you've added to the status bar, where do the notes get saved? They get saved in Notepad. I think that's what you're asking. So yeah, anytime you have Notepad on your toolbar, it's just being saved to Notepad in Microsoft, in your computer.
That's an old question.
Oh, it is from February 1st. Never mind. I just saw the date. Thank you, Marty.
So
Yeah, it's from a couple sessions ago, right? Okay, Jane, good question. Does anyone else have a question?
Yeah, there's several coming in under chat. I'll read them to you.
Okay.
If we have a sale in the store but want to exclude certain vendors, how would we do that?
That's a very good question. I am going to go ahead and minimize this and go back into Counterpoint for you. And so I'll just go back to my contract prices. and I'll just find the one for employee because no matter what rule it is, it's going to be the same behavior. So on the rule itself, so you have to highlight the rule, right? Go to items, and then you can say this rule only applies to specific vendors, or you can customize the filter and say it's all vendors except a particular vendor. Simplify it, and you would select your vendor. And if you ever get stuck, modifying a filter, or you get stuck on a price rule, just log a support ticket. We'll help you out. That's what we're here for. I think hands down, price rules are kind of the one of the trickier things in Counterpoint to master. So we get that. Okay, Marty, you have another question for me?
Yes. We do give 50% off for all our employees. How do I keep a sale item from being employee eligible?
So you want to exclude an item from the sale. So same thing, you're going to go to the items filter and you're going to say maybe it only applies to this item. So anything you buy doesn't get a discount except this item, or it applies to all items except, so is not exactly. So it does not apply, this price rule does not apply to this particular item or items. You can have, more than one exclusion, of course. If you do have to have more than one exclusion, I'm going to go back into my filter to customize. So there's no range here that says, item numbers between this and this are excluded. What you would have to do is add that statement or that exclusion multiple times. So I would say item number is not exactly, and then I have two of them. So if you have more than one item, just keep adding to the filter. Item number is not exactly, and whatever the item number is. All right, good question. Okay,
Gina,
Mark.
One
Yes.
thing I would do is, and this is sort of like maybe the advanced class, but a lot of times people aren't using the discountable field on the item master.
True, yeah.
And so what I'll say is make it non-discountable and exclude things that aren't discountable here. But that may be a little bit more on
Actually,
the
that's a really good point, Marty. I don't think a lot of people understand that discountable switch on the item master. So you are absolutely correct. So this is what field Marty's talking about. Um, if you want to exclude items from a price rule, you could uncheck discountable and modify the price rule filter to say only items where discountable is checked applies to the price rule. I have a lot of people that think when they uncheck this discountable switch that it will prevent their people from doing price overrides. Not true. Not true. That switch is for discount codes and also for price rules. So yeah, really good point.
okay. And then the last question I see is, what is a price sheet used for?
That's a very good question. A price sheet is for a permanent markdown. It's the end of the season. I have Christmas goods. I'm not keeping them till next Christmas. So I'm going to use a price sheet to permanently mark down. When you use a price sheet for a permanent markdown, it does update the price one field to the new discounted price. So therefore your discounting settings are not going to work because the new price one is the discounted price. So price sheets, permanent markdowns, or even markups. So you might want to think of price rules as, typically temporary. I mean, it could be forever, but they could be temporary. Price sheet is permanent. Okay, good question. Do we have any more?
That was it, Gina.
All righty. I like when people ask questions. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, well, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. Hopefully I see you on June the 7th for purchasing tips and tricks. And everyone have a lovely day.